It's from the likes of Little Mother, Diana Vickers, Bago Bye Bye, and last year's winner, a power superstar. The New Zealand Cup is a race rich in history. So who will write the name in the history books this year? Well, we're just days from finding out. Welcome into the special preview show of the New Zealand Cup and the two Group 1s on the undercard. And joining me in studio is Mark Rosanowski and Andy McCook. Good morning, team. And Rosa, we'll start with you. Each and every year, we seem to get a sensational race for this, and of course, it's no different this year. Indeed.
It's pretty cool, isn't it, when you talk about two Group 1s on the undercard, because this is very much about the Springston Hotel New Zealand Cup. But then, throw in the Galaxy and the Stayers Cup, three Group 1s on a card. It's unique in greyhound racing, makes for a fabulous night. The undercard with Premier Stakes, obviously, is high quality as well. In the Cup this year, what I love about it, we've got a dog who's won 7 in a row, a dog who's won 5 in a row, a dog who's won 4 in a row. We've got Federal Infrared who's been there and not quite done it before, but very much. And then new kids on the block, although one of them's already won a Group 1. So it's a pretty special field.
Oh, it really is. And Andy, of course, the Cantabrians, they have such a good record in this race and they're strong in the final again.
They certainly are. It's a race that a number of them try and dominate, obviously being on their home turf. And this year we don't have the favourite, obviously, in Federal Infrared, and she's been absolutely phenomenal, to say the least, in not only recent weeks but recent months. Pip, I'm not one to usually preempt things when it comes to calling races, but I'm picking come Thursday night we might have another Federal Infrared comes out beautifully.
Oh, I certainly would think so with the way she's been doing things, but this is greyhound racing, so we never know what's going to happen. It is run in the middle of Cup Week as well on the Thursday night, so what weather and track conditions can we expect? Well, it looks like we're going to get a high 19, chilly 8, and as you know, guys, when the sun goes down, that wind can pick up a wee bit.
Certainly can, and it can get very, very cold very quickly, being such a big open space. Rosso, the one key thing about Cup time, though, is all the marquees that go up, and there's one of them in the home straight there, where the stand used to be. So that wind sometimes can really affect greyhounds, especially in the home straight on a normal meeting. But come Cup night, they get a little bit of protection in their home straight, which can be good.
Well, it's worth knowing, Andy, because it's a long time since I've handled a dog there at Addington Raceway, but I used to, and faced a few stiff breezes in my time. Looks like we're going to get the northwesterly there, according to that forecast. We've had some pretty interesting weather, haven't we, Pip, over the last few years, from pretty steady rain to very chilly nights. If we can predict the show week weather this far out, then I'm predicting we're going to bag a lot of winners tonight.
There's no pressure there. Well, we've mentioned a couple of runners already. Let's have a look at the market for the Springston Hotel New Zealand Cup at Group 1 level. And your favourite post the heats and semis was Federal Infrared, and she still is $1.80 outside of her Umpawa Hugo for Jean and Dave Fahey, looking for their 11th New Zealand Cup. And Claus and Zorro at $9, kept safe enough there with Blazing Master. Andy, she deserves to be favourite. I don't think there's any question there, but does she come up a wee bit skinny for you?
I think $1.80 probably a touch short now. If we're talking pre-heats, she was a clear-cut top pick for mine. After the heats, there was a whole lot of questions got thrown up with some of these young greyhounds who were starting to put their best paw forward. After the semi, she just stood up and said, no, I'm still the queen around here, and this is what I can do. She's probably going to ease out somewhere closer to $2 on picking when there'll be some support for dogs like Hugo and Claus and Zorro. But she's certainly a deserved favourite. So
you're telling me to get in on early on Hugo here. I'm with you on what you've said there, and I really like Hugo as a top 2 bet if we're talking about right now. But if you want to back Hugo to win, then I'm with you. Do it now. He could start shorter. Those two could come a little bit closer together. But the beauty of Federal Infrared, Pip, is that she's metronomic, and I get to call her at hat-trick on a lot of Friday nights, and you know she's going to run 483, 484, and she's taken that down to Addington. You can just rely on her, and she's just so good right throughout the race. There are other dogs that are stronger over the concluding stages, but can they stay in touch?
And that's the question, and we'll see her electric early speed shortly in the semi-final review. But we're going to start with semi-final number 1, and this was taken out by Claus and Zorro for Matt Roberts, in behind Blazing Master. Firstly, we'll touch on Claus and Zorro. What did you make of him early, Andy?
He's a phenomenal greyhound, really, considering this is start 19. He was just fair away always been a greyhound with that phenomenal second phase pace, and he showed it, Rosso, coming through the grades. Well, now he's up against the best the country has to offer, and he's still showing it. He comes up with a decent draw for him. I can see him getting a little bit of room come finals night, and I think he's a real player.
He's just cut across Blazing Master, the Derby winner there, giving him a shoulder and off. Blazing Master's a really good dog. Okay, he's not in the same form he was when he put 6 in a row together, you know, sort of which ended in September prior to the Wanganui Cup. But he's made his way through to this final. He's been in a lot of big race finals, Blazing Master, and deserved that Derby success. But look at that dog go past him there, young dog. That's exciting.
It really is, and Matthew Roberts has got a couple of good chances. If we take a look at semi-final number 2, and this does feature a Pawa Hugo for Jean and Dave Fahey, their only charge this year in the Cup, and Gold Star Reader for Riley Evans, who finishes second. Let's start with Hugo. He got into a position where he wanted to be after just a kind of fair start there, Andy.
It did, and he can just take a stride to get going at times. The best thing about this was he had quite a hard railer drawn 4, and he's not a monster, Hugo. He had to be really brave there to shunt up. Worth noting, Reader's check at the first turn there as well. Obviously got a little bit of luck past the 6-4-5 boxes, but the bad luck at the first turn. Rosso, he's really good out wide, Hugo. Can see him getting a clean run around them, and he's the obvious danger to feed.
We want him to be beginning just a wee bit better than he has in the heat and semi-final, and he can. Mid and rest of the race is really good. So, as you say, he's in the right spot, and if he can get somewhere near the shoulder of Federal Infrared, that will be critical for his chances.
Absolutely. Well, we now need to have a look at this heat. And I don't think there was a person in New Zealand that wasn't happy to see Diamond Alex win for Malcolm Grant. He takes out this heat coming from box at number 6, you can see. And then out wide, Pawa Jackson in the black rug. But what a run from this dog. Had been a little bit out of form too, Andy, but stood up on the right night.
He certainly did. What a night to find form. Obviously, it's no secret what the Grant team have been going through, losing Lisa in recent weeks. Melky's one of the old stalwarts of greyhound racing, isn't he, Rosso? He's kind of like the old furniture. He's been there forever, but he just continues to reel out winner after winner. He's one of the real hard cases of Addington Raceway too. Always good for a yarn as Melky, and I'm sure come Thursday night, as we've said, stories write themselves in the racing game, and sometimes things just happen. Gee, it'd be a story if this dog could get a slice of the pie.
Wouldn't it? Nice timing about this dog. You know, this was third run back from a spell, and doesn't he look in the right sort of shape? Whether he's got the right draw with the speed that's on the outside, that's probably the issue there. Pawa Jackson did well off a slow beginning, didn't he? Because he had to burn back into the race, and he didn't have much left at the end, but a better beginning obviously will put him in the picture.
Absolutely, he jumps from that draw as well. As we have a look at the last semi-final, certainly not least though, with Federal Infrared setting them up early. She's in box number 4. Hard not to miss her, Andy. And then in behind, Silky Adobe running second. But this is what she's good at, that early sensational burn.
She is such a phenomenal little animal, isn't she, Federal Infrared? She's doing this week in, week out. And Rosso, she's not doing this against Class 1 dogs or Class 2 dogs. She's doing this against the best New Zealand has to offer. This is it. This is what we've got in New Zealand. And she's second rating them in 5 in front by the time they've run 60 metres. It's phenomenal. It's
outrageous. I've watched this a number of times, and just watching it there again, I'm like, really? By that much? There's that much margin out of after that shorter distance, as you say, against high quality greyhounds. Look at the distance between her and Silky Adobe. Now, it was a length and a half at the finish, and we know how strong he can be. But it just shows you that for Federal Infrared to get the success that she didn't get last year, that she is going to have to be well clear of these dogs.
Absolutely, she is. So let's now have a look at them sectionally, lined up all 4 semi-finals. So you can have a look at the sectionals first, second, and the run home. Obviously, semi number 4 has the best early leader. No surprise there, 5.69. That's Federal Infrared. And we say it all the time, Andy, box speed's gold in greyhound racing. She needs to use it.
It certainly is. And for people who don't follow racing at Addington, 5.69, it looks fast when you're comparing it to all these other heats. It's not fast, it's sensational. The dogs just don't run it. 17.50 to the back mark at Addington, dogs don't run it. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And she is capable of doing it on more than one occasion. She is just an absolute freak.
She absolutely is. So let's have a look at the speed map, because that first 50 to 80 metres will be crucial, Rosso, and you're over at the big board.
Yes, indeed. An opportunity to get up close to this speed map here and just confirm what we've been saying with Federal Infrared, with that outstanding early speed that she's got. Now, if a Pawa Hugo can get somewhere like this, now this is an overall situation because in the heat and semi, he hasn't been quite as good as that. But if he can get somewhere here, that puts him right in the picture. Then the others, well, we see not a lot of speed off the inside, and obviously Silky Adobe wants out. Best thing probably is for him to miss it and then do what he needs to do from there. Blazing Master we saw burned by Claus and Zorro at the first bend, and that's what Zorro will be looking to do and try and be hopefully in behind Federal Infrared, and maybe Hugo will be in that mix early as well. Pawa Jackson will be the interesting one, team off the outside. Obviously he wants to leave the lids a lot better than he did in that semi, but we saw the second phase acceleration was outstanding.
Absolutely, as always, that start will be crucial, and we thank Form Pro Ratings for those speed maps. You can head to the website there as well. Don't need a password if you want to check them out for yourselves. Well, we've mentioned Matthew Roberts. He's got 2 chances in the Cup, and earlier in the week we caught up with him.
Everybody want to walk like me.
And it's the ultimate race, really. Definitely the pinnacle of someone's training career, being able to win a New Zealand Cup, New Zealand. So, yeah, it'd mean the world to me if I could. I got second to the old man with Corbin Brick. I had 2 in the final that year as well, Brick and Crouch, and unfortunately the old man just had a better one at that time, Dinah Vickers.
Yeah, he had Corbin Brick, and he was a good dog. Gee, he was a good dog. He probably. He's probably just a touch below the top 2 or 3 Group 1 dogs in the country at the time. He probably a bit unlucky that he struck Dinah Vickers, and he was a beauty, old Dinah Vickers, and he just got him up the straight and give him a wee shoulder tap as he went past, just to say, I got you, son.
I was just over the moon with second, to be honest. Me
and Matt are first and second here, like, who cares who wins it, but we're going to Quinella it. Although I did know that Vickers was going to run him down.
If I wanted anyone to beat me, I was happy it was him. Yeah, don't tell him that. Can we cut that out?
I probably get a bigger kick out of it when one of the boys wins the race than if I do, No, I like to see them winning. If they beat me, I'm more than happy for that. But on the squash court or anywhere else, gloves off.
This is the next litter here, yeah, Corbin Brick across the Spale. So we got 5 there, 4 boys and a girl. Similar colours to the last litter as well, so yeah.
Everyone will be fighting over a white and black one being the favourite.
Yeah, white and black boy again, but yeah, there's 5 there, and Pete owns them, so don't know if he'd be too keen to sell any now that Zorro's made the Cup final.
How many litters would you breed a year?
Probably just down to a couple now. Got a bit more of a smaller race team now that we've got the rehoming kennel and that here as well. We thought we could try and help the industry out a wee bit. We had an opportunity with the kennel block at the front there becoming available, and decided to go down that route. And we've got 2 people that help us out with that, Shane Kendall and Erica Madison. And yeah, they do a really good job.
How long have you been involved in the rehoming for?
Just past a year now.
You enjoy the rehoming side of it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, really enjoy it. But I still like having interest in the racing side of it as well, like having a bit to do with both sort of sides of things. We all love a punt, don't we?
How many you got here for rehoming, Shane?
We got 18. Oh, sorry, 17 in the kennel. We've got 2 inside at the moment. Yeah, so one's hopefully going this week on Saturday. And actually, she's hopefully going on Saturday as well to her family in Dunedin.
So you take a few of them off property to go out on excursions and stuff like that?
Definitely every now and then. Even to go to Craig's place and try them with the retrievers, and even Alfie. Yeah, just a different type of smaller dog. Every dog's different, so you sort of get a fair idea of how to do it. But some are obviously harder than others. You sort of got to get inside their mind a little bit, or try to. I don't know, they just make such good companions, really, at the end of the day. Like, you just...
Pretty cruisy, aren't they?
They are. They're good to have around, They don't need as much as you think they need.
What does the future hold for Matt Roberts? There's not a whole lot more you can be doing.
I'd just like to keep doing what I'm doing. Maybe one day look at amping the numbers up a wee bit more, but might have to wait until the kids are a wee bit older before we worry about that.
How good was that? A fantastic story. Matt Roberts, not only, of course, with the greyhounds on the racetrack, but they do a wonderful job as well with the rehoming and getting these wonderful athletes into their forever homes. And we're about to talk about his first charge in the New Zealand Cup, and it is Silky Adobe as we go through them runner by runner. He comes up with the red rug. He owns and trains this greyhound by Dinah Dave out of Silky Sock. He's had 58 starts on the course. He's won 11 and 23. And from box number 1, he's actually won 5 from 13 and placed on 3 occasions. We caught up with Matt. Obviously, we'll head back out to him and see what he thinks of his chance here in Silky Adobe.
Yeah, I always knew he had a lot of ability. He'd gone some really good races over the 645, just found the tail end of that a wee bit too tough for him. But yeah, he's always had a big engine, but he probably has really come of age lately. Being such a big dog, and that probably did just take a wee while for him to grow into his body, and he's sort of really hitting his straps now.
Yeah, Matt's really hit the nail on the head there, Andy, with the fact that he's found his stride at the moment. He's come into the form at the beautiful time. And we talk about those box statistics. They lie a little bit, don't they? Because he's not a rail painter.
They are certainly very, very misleading around a greyhound like Silky. He doesn't want the inside at all. We saw it in the first round heat where he drew the one, and things just didn't go his way at all. And to be fair, he was good to qualify through to the semi-finals because he was a long, long way off them. Rosa, I think some of it comes down to his size. You see him in the flesh, he's a beast. They call him Solo. He was the only one in the litter, and I tell you what, you can tell he was having free range of the milk bar off Mum.
Yeah, for sure he was. I saw him win not so long ago at Hattrick, called him home, where there were some really good and pretty strong dogs ahead of him, and he just mowed them down. That's the ability that he's got. And you know, recently he's run that 29 and 70 when things go his way. He shows us that he can actually run a time that could win this race, but I don't see how he gets the run from box number 1. Pip, the reason I want him to win is because he's by Dinah Dave, and Dinah Dave ran second in 2018 and 2019, never got a Group 1. And from a handful of litters, he's represented here, obviously, and he's represented in the Stayers Cup. He's actually done pretty well.
One of my favourite greyhounds to grace the track. I'd love to see him there too. And I think the best thing he can do is maybe just miss away like that speed map shows and get to where he wants to be. So that's a look at Silky Adobe. Now let's move on to number 2 in the book. This is a Diamond Alex for Malcolm Grant. He's a greyhound who's had 48 starts on the course. He's won 10 and placed on 12 occasions. Box, though, he's never won from the black and white stripes, but has placed twice, the dog by My Redeemer out of Corborn Leah. Malcolm Grant, well, he hasn't had one in the Cup for a wee while, and we caught up with him after the semi-final.
Yeah, 10 years since I last had a Cup run. It was 2013. So, yeah, he was a really, really nice dog when we started with him. The wheels fell off a wee bit, and he had a good break, and I thought his semi-run was good. So, you know, if we begun fair, we were always a chance, and he begun fair, and he got the money.
It's such a nice thrill to get this dog into the final. It's what's been a difficult time for you, but it's great to see this guy. He's really flying the flag, and he's going to have a lot of supporters come Cup night.
Oh yeah, it has been a horrific time for us, and I'd just like to thank all the greyhound community and outside the greyhound community for the support Lisa and myself and the family got. It was absolutely exceptional. And this dog getting through to the Cup tonight was just the icing on the cake.
He's a wonderful human being, is Malcolm Grant, and there will not be a dry eye in the house, I think, if this dog can get up Diamond Alex. Great to have him in the final, Andy.
There won't be a dry eye on course, and I highly doubt there'll be a dry eye anywhere in New Zealand. The greyhound community, we're such a tight-knit community all throughout New Zealand, and everyone, I'm sure, was friends with Lisa and knew Lisa and Malcolm at some stage. So he's going to have to really nail the start here, Rozzo. There's no doubt about that. He's got big Silky Adobe under him. In the heat, 586 early, Silky 601. He's going to need to do that to be in front of him.
Yeah, certainly is. Really like the timing of this, though. He's 3 runs back from a spell. Malky's got him just spot on. Real shame, obviously, that Lisa won't be there to see it, but I'm sure Alex will run a race. Now, I know you guys laugh about me when I start talking about QE2 Park and the old days and the Cup and stuff. Well, here we go. Malcolm Grant. I've known Malcolm Grant for a very long time. Well, Malcolm's mum, Helen, who's still alive, lovely woman, she was married to Brian Cantwell. Brian Cantwell trained the Cup winner in 72 and 74 at Marshland Domain, Shantung and Red Baron, and Malcolm Grant was there. I was born, but Malcolm was there. He trained Head Mover in 2002 to run second. He had Attorney General run fourth in the early 2000s as well. He mentions it's been 10 years since he had a runner. It's just great he's got a runner in there, and I so hope he gets a decent run.
This is why we have you as the resident historian here at Trackside, but that is some great information. So that's number 2. Let's have a look at number 3. The Central District Serrator, another two-pronged attack here. This time it's Lisa Cole with the Group 1 Derby winner and Blazing Master. He's by Mpwanga Blazer out of Mpwanga Molly. He's had 9 starts on the course. He's won twice and he's placed on 5 occasions, and he doesn't mind the inside draws either. But Rozo, as you've alluded to, he's just probably down on that Group 1 Derby form at the moment.
He's been terrific throughout this calendar year, and he's made a lot of group race finals, and going into the Derby he deserved to get one, and that's the one that he put away at Cambridge. And then coming sort of through to September, he'd won 6 in a row, and he was looking like a real threat to Federal Infrared and the Wanganui Cup, but his form dipped there. He ran Federal Infrared reasonably close recently at Hat-Trick, but that's when she ran sort of a 10th down on what she had been running. And look, he's been really solid to get through to the final. There's no easy paths, well, there's easy paths out of the heats, but not the semis to get to the final, and he's done that. But on what we've seen, Andy, it's just hard to see that the current Blazing Master could win this race.
I've got him in 4th in the numbers just because he's been there, done that, but it's hard to see him beating Fed, Zorro or Hugo, to be fair. Pip, I know pre-heat, I think you're a bit like me. We both thought $4.20 a place around this dog was pretty good money, and I think if he can secure the right run, he's still a place chance. But like Rozzo said, it's hard to see him beating the faves.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I kind of wanted to have him in my selections because of the fact that I really was keen on him. I've got him in 4th for the reasons we've alluded to. He seems to stand up, and he hasn't really missed too many placings in these Group 1 finals, but I just can't have him, I think, winning the race like you guys with what he's done so far in this series. So let's look at Blazing Master. Now let's move on to number 4 in the book. And this is Gold Star Rita for Riley Evans. Another by My Redeemer out of Gold Star Coco. She's had 57 starts on the course. She's won 10 times. And she's got okay statistics as well from the box draw. We did catch up with Riley Evans as well. Just talk to him about, she was an underdog coming into this, but she was very good in her heat.
Yeah, I thought she was super in the heat, and she probably got a bit of luck last night in the semi, but you need to have luck to get in, and you need to have luck to win it as well. So, I mean, she's probably a little bit unlucky on the first corner and sort of got back a little bit, but she always runs on strong, and yeah, if she can get handy enough, she could be a chance. She's not going to fly to the back in 70 like some of those other dogs can, but she's more than strong enough. She can run a 30 flat, which is, there's been cups won a lot slower than that.
Yeah, there certainly has. And she's a greyhound too, who we've got mapping to be up there early, Andy. So what do you think about the draw for her?
I think the middle draw a little niggly with Silky pushing out and just how far out he gets and whether he gets to her or not. Rozzo, it's hard to see her winning. She was very good in the first round heat. She ran Jackson very close in the end. It was a very good finish. Does have strength on her side, but she'd need a whole lot of luck.
Class 4 runner, she's used to these middle draws, isn't she? And she's had to negotiate those to get here, so that's outstanding. Look, I probably would have said the same thing about Delisha Bale 2 years ago, that she probably couldn't win it. We know what happened there, she did win it. So it's hard to just, write one off, but if I'm suggesting that Blazing Master isn't going to be winning, then Rita's not for me either.
Absolutely agree with that. Can't add much more as we move on to number 5 in the book. This is our favourite in Federal Infrared. She's a Group 1 winner, of course, taking out the Spion Rose. She was second in the final last year and behind a par with Superstar. She's won 7 on the course from 10 starts and placed twice. So she absolutely loves it here. Deserves favouritism, Andy, and she's a flyer early, as we've said.
She certainly does. She just has such a phenomenal record. You look back through her and she's 7 on the bounce, looking for 8. She's 11 on the bounce in terms of two-turn racing over 520 metres around 2 or 3 tracks. She's won 14 of her last 16. She tends to be 5 in front by the first turn, which is something that I can't name another greyhound that's been able to do so consistently. Obviously not overly strong business end, but gee, if you want to be in front in a greyhound race, it's the New Zealand Cup, and let's hope she can nail it on the night.
That's right. I mean, she's strong enough, isn't it? They're like others are stronger, but it's not like she's falling in a hole or anything like that. Others are stronger over the concluding stages, but she's usually put the races to bed. A couple of Group 1s at Hat-Trick, nearly got this race last year, took a champion performance from a champion greyhound to beat her. If she wins this, she goes to $300,000 plus, which is phenomenal. Hard to make back-to-back Cup finals. Just you just cannot knock her. She's been outstanding. And talk about, she's not as good on the one-turn track, but then she's won a whole host of features at Manawa too. But, hey, around these circle tracks, man, she's hard to catch.
She really is, and of course Lisa Cole and Brendan Cole had Little Mother that won their only cup, and I think she's one of the best chances to do it again, Rozo. And does she hint you a little bit like a Little Mother with the way she's just stringing these wins together?
It's phenomenal that they can do it at this level constantly, and we see, we talk about Blazing Master, because like in September I would have put Blazing Master about on par with Federal Infrared for what they were doing at the time. And she is, it's very, very hard for a greyhound to be performing at this level so constantly. She deserves this. I haven't actually got her on top in the selections, but I'd love to see her win.
Let's now move on to number 6 in the book, the second runner for Matt Roberts, Claus and Zorro. This time he is owned by the father-in-law, Pete Clausen. He's by Fernando Bale out of the handy Bitchu South and Quistis Bale. He's won 9 on the course from 14 starts. He's the youngest greyhound in this field, born October 21. A sensational effort to get him into this field, and we caught up with Matt Roberts and just asked him what he thought about him in the heat and semi.
Yeah, he does. That's, what he's sort of been doing well lately, showing that acceleration, that second phase acceleration, and he's going to need to do that again this week and trap cleanly to be in the mix early. There's a lot of quick dogs there, so just got to hope he does everything right on the day.
That's the key, and is that really the thing for him? Does he need to lead Andy for you to win this race, or can he come off the pace?
I think he'd have to be in front halfway down the back to be winning. I think even if he was on the back of Federal Infrared, Rozo, he's not overly strong himself either, so it would be hard to see him even running her down. He's run home 12.24 in his heat, she's run home 12.26, so there's very little between them. Really like his run here into the first corner though. If we're thinking Fed's going to bang straight out to the lead like she does, Hugo's no rail painter and neither's Jackson. There's a gap here for this young dog.
Indeed, and we saw that burn past Blazing Master in the semi-finals there last week. Out of Quistis Bale, who made a New Zealand Cup final herself in 2018. And of course, it'd be great to see Matt win this. He actually quineled with his father in 2015. Coolborn Brick ran second to Dinah Vickers, and Craig's got 3. And yeah, Matt could peg him back one this time round.
Yeah, he really could. He's got a great chance with this greyhound. I like him as well, and like you, I just think maybe Fed gives him that drag into the race coming across, so he's a good chance as Claus and Zorro at the $9 too in the market. As we move on to number 7, and he is trained by the astute trainers in Jean and Dave Fahey. They have won 10 New Zealand Cups to date. He's another by Fernando Bale out of a power hop. He's won 14 from 21 on the course, placed once from the draw, and look at his record as well, Andy, that he's just this phenomenal dog, and he's come up probably with the right draw because he likes to use up the track. He
does. I don't mind him out wider on the track, and he's a phenomenal greyhound too. He's missed money twice in 24 odd starts. It's phenomenal to think he's already a Group 1 winner. He's another greyhound who's been racing against the very best we have, and he's been so good. And he's not always electric early, so sometimes he has to do a fair bit of work in the run, and we saw that in the semi where he wasn't first away, burnt through, was very good. He's run home 12.22, so how big a head start could he give Fed? We know he's capable of better than that, obviously, but based on the heat, he'd have to be within a couple of lengths of who you would think to be pegging her back, and he does have the ability to be there.
For starters, like to come in off a long break, to go into a heat and a semi and to win those, and now to be third up, maybe I'd be more confident if he's fourth up perhaps, but still it's the Faheys, like you say, from 2006 to last year. They've made this race their own with 10. Very good chance of making it 11. He's won the Group 1 St Leger, as you've mentioned. He's won races like the Canterbury Futurity, the Trevor Wilkes Memorial. They are races with restrictions, and it's a different thing again, isn't it, to come out and beat an all-comers Group 1, and there's nothing much tougher, I don't think, than the New Zealand Cup, but I've just got a sense that he's going to be a bit better, a bit closer to that first bend, and if the Form Pro ratings, speed map, come up right, I think I want to be on him at 4.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't got him on top, but he's the one dog that worries me, I think, to get it in front of Federal Infrared. Not only the dog himself, a dual Group 1 winner, but the trainers. There's just something about Jean and Dave Fahey where I think you have to have a saver bet on him. If you're not with Federal Infrared, have to save a bet on Apawa Hugo. Let's now have a look at Apawa Jackson, another Apawa greyhound. This one, though, trained by Jason Dunn from Winsome Apawa out of Apawa Lynn. 13 starts on the course, 6 wins and 4 minor placings, so actually has a brilliant record. And as we had a look at it in that semi-final, Andy, he's come off the back. He's had a really good run home and a good midsection.
He certainly does. He's a really talented young greyhound, this, and he can get off the lids clean when he wants to, which is not always what he does. He can be a little bit tardy as well, but he's got real burn when he gets going. And Rosso, these sectionals that come through from Form Pro ratings, he was faster from the post to the back mark than Federal Infrared. That's how good he is.
That burn was amazing, wasn't it? Because initially off the boxes watching that live, I thought, well, Power Jackson's probably gone here. He won't make top 2. It gets pretty cutthroat in the semis, and then what he did mid-race, he succumbed late in the piece to Diamond Alex. Clean getaway makes it interesting, like you say, because he's just got that great pace. Great to see Jason Dunn with a runner in this race, and Jason's team, the strike rate's really amping up at the moment, isn't it? He's got a really good quality lineup in his kennel.
He does. Well, let's see what Jason thought of a Power Jackson semi-final.
He began awful, and I thought we were all done from that point actually, but he mustered good, and then thankfully held on for second and got through.
Quite the step up, of course, coming from the lower graded races into the New Zealand Cup Series, but this guy must have given you a bit of confidence that he could rise to the occasion.
Yeah, he's always shown me some sort of ability. It's just to get his mind on the job, and he has come right at the right time.
All right, so what do you do with him now in terms of his preparation for the big dance next week?
Yeah, well, hopefully he comes out a bit better than what he did tonight next week, or he's going to have to. He'll have a couple of gallops in between, and hopefully he pulls up all right, which he looked all right, and hopefully he draws a box in the final.
And that is a look at all 8 New Zealand Cup finalists. So it's now time to put the head on the chopping block and get our selections out. So we'll start with you, Rosso. Who's your top 4?
Nice of you to put it like that, Pip. I've been beheaded many a time, it would appear. Going with a Pawa Hugo on top of Federal Infrared. Love to see her win it. Thought Hugo, nice timing around this. I think a cleaner break off the boxes, I hope. Like the draw, particularly if he just needs to hang on to the coattails, obviously, of Federal Infrared. Got Claus and Zorro in, and I want Diamond Alex on that podium somehow. And I think he might be able to claw his way into the top 4, Andy.
He looks a chance, especially if he can get in front of Silky early. I just can't go past the Wiggle, to be honest. I'm just solely in her camp. I think she'll come out running, she'll find the top. We know what we get from her every week, and as long as she can do that come Thursday night, she's pretty hard to beat. 2 dangers for mine, Hugo and Zorro. I think either one of those potentially could beat her if she was to get the start wrong, and in behind them, Blazing Master had to find a spot for him. But for me, Pip, it's all about Fed.
Yeah, it's deja vu, Andy, because I've got the exact same 4 selections. I swear I didn't peek. I'm going with Federal Infrared. I was with her last year. I'm going to stick with her again and go for the Central Districts runner. I just think she can use that pace. It will be Catch Me If You Can. Obviously, I'm worried about Pawa Hugo as well, and Claus and Zorro behind. And I had to chuck in Blazing Master. Just thinking of final, he's always there about. So that's what we're liking. What about $100? If we gave you $100, how would you have a play in the New Zealand Cup? Well, this is how we'd spend it. I'm just going to go $100 on Claus and Zorro, top 4. I think the price is quite nice. They're around $220. What about you, Andy?
I'm sticking with Federal Infrared, and I'll just say that the New Zealand Cup's not a race I usually get involved in because it can be a tough race, but I just like her. I think she'll find the top. I think close to start time, if money comes for Hugo and potentially Zorro, we might get closer to $2 and a $20 percentage first for there. Who to win to beat Zorro and Hugo? Throw in Blazer Master and Freddie Field for 4th, Rosso, because we don't want something rough costing us.
Indeed, and can happen, of course. I think any one of those chances to get onto the top 4 of those who have qualified here. Pawa Hugo, top 2 for me. Not surprised you don't get too involved, Andy. You're quite busy during the call, to be fair, aren't you?
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. You want my mind on the binos and what's going on in front of me, not what's going on somewhere else.
We certainly hope so. Wow, it is time now to take a break. Off the other side, we'll be going through the second Group 1 of the evening, the home kill guys, New Zealand Galaxy.
Lure rolls for the 2022 New Zealand Cup. Good luck to everybody. Set, racing, Federal Infrared picked it beautifully. She's straight to the lead on Mustang Charlie, hometown hero. Trying to get around those as Opawa Superstar gets there in front of Mrs. Chin. Off the track, Majestic Legend back, Opawa Warrior, and tailed off is Quintessa Bale. It's all on down the back as Mustang Charlie pours it on to Federal Infrared. Opawa Superstar looking for a gap, then hometown hero on the corner. Opawa Superstar, he's a superstar by name, he's a superstar by nature. The Fahey's get their 10th cup.
I have to ask you, Dave, you've won this race now 10 times in partnership with Jean. What's your secret? Because we all dream of doing something like that.
Yeah, I think it's always a lucky night for me this night, and so it was again tonight.
Boy, okay. Got to jump tonight, mate. Box tour is not easy. Could be start 14 in the Galaxy, mate. That'd be cool. Oh, I'll outshine Andrew McCook. And they're up and they're racing this time. And Gold Star Coda's jumped to the lead. That'd be nice. Good boy, mate. Good lad. Good lad.
Racing, Aston Lamont Fair racing to the lead out wide, a Gold Star Coda turning it on. He'll get there in front of Verdon Bale. Ritzer Alert inside run for Mitchum Scott. And behind those now, Ritzer Alert back.
Run some flop.
Bedlam, oh, Gold Star Coda. The draw didn't matter. Straight across and too good for Verdon Bale, Boston Boom, Ritzer Alert.
Luckily he jumped good enough, or he would have just wrecked the whole lot. Boy. Start 14, he's going to be in the biggest sprint race of the year, but he showed then he can do it from any draw. He probably got lucky tonight, but you only got to get in next week and have a bit of luck, so fingers crossed he can do it again.
That is an absolutely great insight to what goes on behind the boxes, this time from Riley Evans. He can give you a run for his money with that commentary prior. Got it bang on too, Andy.
He might be a fortune teller as well, to be honest. He's absolutely nailed that. He's nailed the call. I think Mary Ann might actually be giving him a call now to see what he's up to Thursday night. Luckily for me, he'll be busy handling Coda, I'd say.
I think so. Well, let's have a look at the Galaxy market. He is in at Gold Star Coda. So let's have a look at who heads the betting, however, for the Group 1 for the short course sprinters. And you can see it's the New Zealand Greyhound of the Year, Levi Bale, for the sprinters at $1.55. Big Time Razor at 4.2 and Mint As at $7. So let's talk about this market. Firstly, Levi Bale, obviously the deserved favourite with what he's done. 155, would you jump into that?
I think it's too short. I think it's too short solely because of the dog drawn immediately outside of him in Coda, and we'll have a look at a head-on in a moment from the semi that just has that little bit of trepidation around him, Rosso. I think there's value in a greyhound like Mintaz, who's been very good. I think $7 is more than backable each way. Verdon Bale's been good, the old boy. I think he's a chance of a top 3, top 4 as well.
Andy, I thought I was being smart. I backed Mintaz at $7 pre the semi because I just thought, well, Mintaz is getting into the final. I cannot believe that dog's at $7. That dog is very hard to beat for mine. Haven't got it on top because I'm a big fan of Levi and I think he's the deserved favourite. But $7 compared to a dog like Big Time Razor at 4.2, that seems incredibly short, even allowing for the fact that Coles have trained 5 winners of this Galaxy before.
I have to agree, I'm very surprised. I thought they might be swapped around the 4.2 and the $7. So let's have a look at the Galaxy semi-finals and see how they made their way through to the final. We'll start with the greyhound we touched on, Mintaz. Bang, straight away, Andy. He just put them to the sword early.
He certainly did. Fastest lead up in the semi, 5.86. He's very good. Rosso, I think he came into this race relatively underrated. He went around about $8 or $9 in the first round, which, much like the $7 in the final, seemed crazy overs. If he makes a beginning like this, races in front, Levi finds any sort of trouble, could be his race on a platter potentially.
Shame Jared Udy and Nessie Cottam can't put a boring pole on this dog because he's just awkward across the top, isn't he? He just loses that fraction that'll take him underneath 17 seconds that he might have to run for Levi. He might not if there's trouble for Levi. But 5.86 first week, 5.86 second week. If we get 5.86 again, well, we know where the dog is and that's in front. Losing a little bit of ground around the corner again, but there aren't too many that are going to be with him at that point, I wouldn't think, maybe Levi. So I think at the moment, that dog's the real value. And of course, Jared Judy and Essie Cottam have trained a winner of this with Buddy Boom 2019, and he nearly won it again the following year.
If he's awkward round that corner, Rosso, like we're saying, Levi's obviously the danger. What happens if Levi's outside of him?
He's a smart dog, Levi. He'll go underneath.
Now we're really predicting how this race is going to go. What about a Power Fat, obviously running in second? He likes to move up the track, and that head-on told a story as well, because you could see that, him shuffling out to the middle. Yeah, look, good effort. I'll defer to Andy here on a Power Fat, because he sort of sees him week in, week out. I was very impressed when I called him up at Cambridge on Derby night, for example, when I've seen him on the tally. He's a really good high-speed dog, and again, Jason Dunn with another Group 1 runner here. So Andy, a Power Fat, look, he's drawn underneath Mintaz, so that's a decent sort of a start. Verdun Bale, not a rail painter as such on the inside. Razor will hold his line, but Fat should be okay, shouldn't he?
Should turn out all right. He is a little bit better when he gets away from the inside, is the only thing. If he had drawn 7 or 8, probably got him well and truly in the numbers here, to be fair. 6.04 early is the issue with him. That's what he was running in the semi. Obviously, you can't afford to be giving a field of this calibre a head start, Pip, and if he is, then he's going to struggle to run past them. But if there are any issues for some of the favourites, then he's certainly a quality young greyhound. Yeah, and I thought maybe Mintaz could help him out too. If he does burn off the lids, he likes to move out the track. Maybe Fat could follow him with a good enough beginning. So it is interesting as we have a look at semi-final number 2, and it features once again a Gold Star Coda. We'll see him rip off the lids off box number 7, and then also Verdun Bale, who finishes second behind. But key to Coda, he's an absolute rail painter, Andy, and he's drawn wide. He is. He wants paint, and it's a real key for Levi Bale, who's obviously drawn immediately inside of him. We'll see a head-on of this in a moment, and you'll see he wants to get down to the rail. And Rosso, the thing with him, he can crash harder than he did in the semi too. You go back to this greyhound in Maidens. Gee, he drew the 6 one day, and he just wanted paint, and there were a few greyhounds that got in his road, and they came off second best. Yeah, so this head-on here, although he's coming across the face of the field, there was an initial movement, then sort of a holding, and then he comes across. Now, I think Levi gets away with it if it's like that. Yep. But like you say, he has been worse than that. Young dog, amazing he's got through. Riley's mentioned that in the piece we saw earlier, and a half-brother too, to Gold Star Porsche, the other one, and so outstanding work, Kiakatu Fever, for getting a couple of finalists out of 2 separate litters here. Absolutely. Well, let's have a look now at semi-final number 3. It features the favourite Levi Bale. Wasn't that quick into stride as he was in the heat, Andy, but boy, his run home was good. He's just a superstar, this greyhound, and to be fair, I've got him on top. I think, like Rosso said, if Coda did what he did there, Levi's big enough and bolshy enough to get away with it. Hopefully that's all Coda does, because Rosso, the reigning Sprinter of the Year for Greyhound Racing New Zealand, the one thing he deserves is a Group 1 title, and he really does get his chance here. He deserved that title last year, Sprinter of the Year, but he did it without a Group 1, and so it made it a little bit gnarly. There are actually a whole lot of sprinters who had all very similar sort of credentials, if you like. I think we came up with the right winner in Levi, but he deserves a Group 1, and I'm hoping this is it. I mean, he's nearly 4, Pip, and he runs sub-17 in the heat in the semi-final, so please, he deserves it. But I remember, like a race for the Dash for Cash, of course, that, you know, he bolted home in the heat, but he got the wrong draw in the final, and never really got a look in, and I certainly hope that doesn't happen here. But he's wide where we want him, wrong dog to the outside of him, but I'm saying he gets away with it. Yeah, not perfect, but a slightly better than being drawn the inside. As we have a look at semi-final heat to number 4. This features Mitch and Ben, another real youngster, this time for Ashley Bradshaw, and then behind big time Razor for Lisa Cole. Let's talk about Ben. Obviously, you've seen him come right through the grades. He just continues to step up, doesn't he? Just continues to improve week to week, as you say. He's a really nice young greyhound. This, I think, given another 3, 4, 5, 6 months, he potentially could be one of Canterbury's better sprinters. He just continues to do it. 10 from 16, 4 seconds to boot. Rosso, hate the draw though. Really niggly, unfortunately, for Ben, and he'll have to be on his best behaviour to be winning. Certainly is, although Mintaz obviously leaving really quick would be good, obviously. Get that one out of the way for starters, but then you've still got a Power Fat underneath as well. So yeah, it is really niggly. Out of Flower Bomb, who made it through to the semis a couple of times there, and could run in the Galaxy. So yeah, look tough. Great to see Ashley Bradshaw with another runner in this. Oh, really is. Well, that's a look at the semis. Again, we want to have a look at them sectionally, because it is paramount as far as the early burn goes here over the 295 metres. So we'll set them up, and the fastest lead-up time was the 5:86, and that was Mintaz, Andy. And as we kind of talked about there, I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to get off the 4 and then get to that part of the track he wants to be. He does. He needs to lead, and I think he can. He's a real chance if he can do that, and so far he's done it week to week at Addington, which has been very good. The key section here for me is 590 Gold Star Coda, 592 Levi Bale. That would have him right outside of Levi into the corner, which is not really what we want, Rosso, for the favourite.
No, it's not. And we're looking at the speed map here, which shows us that Mitcham Bend through the middle could be parked outside Mintaz. Now, through the heat and semi so far, Mintaz has been 586 twice and comfortably clear, but we're looking at an overall picture here. It looks all right for Levi here. The question is, what does he do when he's got Gold Star Coda leaning on him? We say, well, I'm saying he can shrug him off. Then, of course, he's got to make the decision. Does he try and loop Mintaz, which won't be easy, or come underneath? I think that he's actually capable of doing both and giving Craig Roberts his 5th Galaxy, and he hasn't won it in 18 years, so you could argue it's overdue. Closer in, you see Big Time Razor potentially getting a run, although I still think he's quite short at $4.20. He's certainly a strong chance for place or top 4. So, guys, I think it's about Mintaz, and obviously Mitcham Bend could have a say early, but I'm picking Mintaz in front and Levi come looking.
Absolutely, and of course he led up in that 588 in the heat, so if he did that it would be a lookout. And his trainer is Craig Roberts. We caught up with him after the heat and semi and just asked him what he thought about his chances. He was very good in both series.
Yeah, look, he's a great old dog, old Levi. He's close to 4. I just need to see him jump a wee bit quicker in the final. You know, like once he gets going, he's the fastest dog in that final, but he's just got to get out of the boxes a wee bit quicker.
Just a bit of a career reinvigoration, I suppose, over the past few months.
Yeah, well, he's always been good. He was Sprinter of the Year last year. Just couldn't quite tear off a Group 1, but, you know, hopefully he can do it next week. And, you know, if he gets a bit of daylight early would be a big advantage for him, because then he can just power up and, you know, use that speed and that fast run home sectional. You know, like he was clearly the fastest run home tonight, 11:01, all but broke 11. So yeah, it's just going to depend on the first 40 or 50 metres.
Well, that was Craig Roberts. What about his son Dan Roberts? He's got Verdon Bale in the race. Let's hear from him with his thoughts of his chance.
Yeah, he's turned a corner lately. I don't think he's missed top 4 in his last sort of 14 odd starts or something. He's a grand old campaigner. I think he's closing in on 4, but he's certainly in the form of his life at the moment, and hopefully he can keep that up for one more start.
What have you made of his semi-final run tonight?
Yeah, pretty impressive. The leader ran home in 11:14, and I think he made up a length or 2 on it, which really impressed me. So he sort of lacks a wee bit of early speed, so he's going to need a nice draw in the final.
You're going to meet a dog, you know, very, very well, and Levi Bale.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's good to see the old boy qualify 1 for that, but yeah, he's certainly going to be tough to beat.
And from one young gun trainer to another, let's head to Riley Evans. We heard him with the Gold Star Coda earlier, but he's got the 2 chances, so let's see what he likes with them.
Yeah, it's always good to go around in Group 1s, and yeah, it's been one we've never had a starter in that either. So yeah, we got a bit of young and old in there. So got one that's had his 13th start last night, Coda, and Portia, she got in, and she's had more than twice as many wins as he's had starts. So they're both, Coda's looking like he'll be a nice young dog in the future, and Portia's she's our highest, won the most races out of any of our dogs we've ever had. So she's done a fantastic job, and she probably deserves a spot on the podium, I think. They've been doing a good job for us for a long time.
Oh, Gold Star Coda, the draw didn't matter. Straight across and too good.
He's been running around the PBDs off the 1, and he was a bit nervous when I seen the draw come out in 7. I thought he was a bit buggered, to be fair, but when you come out like that and cross the field, you're pretty hard to beat. He's done a bit of practice box work and didn't do too much with him, but he's got off the cans, yeah, probably about as best as he can. He's not a 580 early sort of dog. He probably could have got there a bit quicker, but he clipped a couple on the way. But yeah, if he can come out like that, and if he gets the right draw, he's in a long way.
Racing. He's away clean, Levi Bale, more speed from Gold Star Portia. But
Yes, her box speed, she's always a chance. Can come out at 580, so that puts her in it a long way as well. So yeah, hopefully she can just keep doing what she's done for a long time, and wouldn't be surprised to see her on the podium, if I'm honest.
It's great to see him have 2 chances, and of course has that runner as well in the Group 1 New Zealand Cup, does Riley Evans. So once again, it's time for selections for the Galaxy, and we'll start with you, Rosso. Who have you found on top?
Levi Bale, I know that's a little bit boring and disappointing, isn't it? But I'd love to see him win, and clearly he can. He's in the right sort of shape, right run he does. $1.55. Well, I think Mintaz is probably the value in the each way bet. I've got it in clearly for second. I have got Razor in for third, although I'm surprised how short the dog is in the market, but it maps to get a pretty decent run, as we saw there with formproratings.co.nz. And Power Fat, next one in for me, Andy.
I'm with Levi on top with a little bit of trepidation, obviously, around what's going to happen in the initial stages with Coda. I think the main danger's Mintaz. I can't believe he's $7. There's no way he closes at that. So if you're a Mintaz fan, I'd be saying get involved in him as soon as you possibly can. Verdun Bale, gee, the old boy's racing well. I'd love to see him. Phillipa spot and Gold Star Coda for Team Evans got him in the mix, but the draw's really niggly.
Let's rinse and repeat again, because I've got Levi Bale on top too. I think Mintaz is the value. I've actually chucked in a Power Fat. I just think maybe Mintaz helps him out early for Jason Dunn. I like Verdun Bale too. I think if there's a dog that can get the right run up the rails, it is him. So that's what we're liking in the Galaxy. Time to take another break here on our preview show. Off the other side, we'll be touching on the third Group 1 of the night, the Stayers.
Away goes Brett, thrilling Brett, the best stayer in the country, turns for home, well clear on the Stayers Cup, and thrilling Brett is careering away. What a good dog, thrilling Brett, a champion. He's won by 10 lengths.
This dog's like a fine wine. He just keeps getting better with age.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to know that he's ageing at all. But you know, I'm not going to complain about that.
Another Group 1 in the bag for him, and I guess he's drawn nicely out there, box 7, but he's really just left him to it tonight in a good Group 1 field.
Yeah, we're pretty happy when the draw comes through. Obviously, he likes to be out wide, but the way he's beginning at the moment, he just is putting himself into races wherever he draws.
Yes, the great thrilling Brat. What a greyhound he was for Karen Walsh. And of course, Craig Roberts, a man of many talents there in the interview. And of course, he's got the runners in as well, including in the Stayers Cup, which is the next race that we want to have a look at. Unfortunately, no market out yet, but here is the full field for you. And Rohan Bale heads it there with Craig Roberts, Apawa Louise for Dan Roberts, Space Boy for Lisa Cole. He's trying to pick up a Group 1 staying race this time. Apawa Dallas with Callum Ware just for this series. Matt Roberts, Nighthawk Style, Sweet Buddy, Sam Lozelle and Raja Bale and Grand View Ace for Craig Roberts, and Bob Pringle completes the field. Let's check out a couple of highlights here, and we'll start with Sweet Buddy on Wednesday night over the 645 metres. A couple of these go around in this race, well, most of them. Let's start with the winner, Sweet Buddy. What did you make of it, Andy?
I thought he was very good. He got himself a whole lot handier than normal. He takes a check with a lap to go. He checks off heels, he gets out wide, and he's still very, very good through the line. Raja Bale in front, Grandview Ace obviously in the race, Opawa Louise, Rohan Bale's in the black rug. So as we're saying, Rosa, there's a number of greyhounds going around again in this final. Sweet Buddy, very good. Opawa Louise, very good. And Grandview Ace got after an early check as well.
Yeah, she got jammed up early, and obviously some strong dogs got ahead of her. Sweet Buddy, very good, and good to the lure as well, which is probably the critical thing. Opawa Louise, of course, had that trip to Australia to represent NZ. And Grandview Ace for Bob Pringle. I'd love to see Bob get a Group 1, and on a recent 7:32 race, that's her in the blue rug there getting jammed up there, which was costly, and unfortunately she draws box 8 in the final. I didn't think Rohan Bale was actually hopeless last there, to be honest. He'll take a lot out of that and draws the inside, but it's a big ask on the preparation, isn't it? Craig's won 5 of these New Zealand Stayers Cup, but he's got the boys snapping at his heels, hasn't he? With Dan, with Apawa Louise with a genuine chance, and Matt with good old Nighthawk Style.
Absolutely. Of course, she did win the Group 1 national distance, or not Group 1, but the national distance there for Dan Roberts. As we have a look at this greyhound, he's a Group 2 winner over the staying trip, taking out the Wanganui Stayers. This is Space Boy. He ends up finishing second here on October the 19th. Set them up real early, Andy, but there was dogs like Grandview Ace coming at him late.
He's a really, really interesting dog, Space Boy. He's obviously got very good credentials over the 520 metres and the middle distances. He steps up over ground. Rosso, the times this greyhound runs through the 295 metres at Eddington, 17:24 here, and that time wouldn't be out of place in the Galaxy, and then he's got to do another lap, and he seems to be able to handle it. Obviously not very strong late in the piece, but if you're running those sort of splits, you've got a big gap on some of these.
Indeed. Look, here he is turning for home. Centurion gets to him, who's not a race rival, of course, unfortunately out. Watch Grandview Ace here in the green and white. She did come from box 8 here. She very nearly got Space Boy. I think she's a chance if she can navigate herself across again like she did here into sort of a midfield spot, Andy. But just on Space Boy, his win in the Wanganui Stayers Group 2 level was incredible because he went 11 lengths better on final night than he did the previous week where he cramped up over the concluding stages and ran Class 5 sprint times. Now, since then, he's had a 6:50 trial and he's had a 7:32 metre trial at Addington, where unfortunately the clock didn't time the whole race. But he went through the sprint in 17:10. Well, there's Galaxy finalists that haven't actually run that, and then he's got to go another lap. He'll have an enormous lead, so he's going to do it on his own, and I think he can. But he'll need a margin on some of these dogs, but it'll make for another great race because that Wanganui Stayers was a beauty, and that's one of the great training feats, I think, in the last few years. For me, the way that he came out and ran such a good time the following week after looking a spent force at the end of 7:55.
Absolutely. Look, it's an even field this year, I think. There's no real standout, so we have to try and find one on top. Almost sounds, Rozo, like you're going Space Boy. Is that where you're leaning?
I'm going Space Boy to hang in there, but I don't mind Grandview Ace look, I wish she'd drawn the inside. Clearly, she's going to need a little bit of luck to get into the right spot. But as I say, in that race we showed, she did manage to get there. Sweet Buddy, clearly a chance. He's won up to 7.79 at Monaco. He'd bombed the start at Manawatu the time before, so it was good to see him getting a whole heap closer there. And Apawa Louise drawn close in, you'd think's got a decent chance. And Apawa Dallas Littermate there with Callum Weir now, good to see in there as well.
Yeah, I'm with Space Boy on top as well. I do want to mention, I think there's 4 winning chances of this race. I think any one of these 4 greyhounds could win, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised. I think Space Boy will be looking to set them up. Sweet Buddy, very good. Opawa Louise, we know how strong she is, and if GVA can find a way to navigate box number 8, then she's a winning chance as well. So any one of those 4 in any order could possibly be crossing in front.
I hate to keep agreeing, Andy, but I do. I'm going to go instead this way, Power Louise on top. I just like the way she's been hitting the line. I think she'll be really peaking for this. And behind, I've got Space Boy. He definitely sets them up here, like Sweet Buddy as well, and also like Grandview Ace for top 4. So that's what we're liking in the Group 1 Stayers. That's all the time we've got on our New Zealand preview show. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage today. Maybe we've tipped you out the winners for all 3 of the Group 1s. If you can't get to the track on Thursday, make sure you tune in to TAB Trackside 1. We'll all be on the coverage, of course. Andy doing the calling. Rozo and I will be on track. The first race from around 4:30 on Thursday. Until then, see you later.